Okay, dear Dhamma friends, we have come to the next part of this mindfulness for young adult session. So that is actually a Dhamma sermon based on a particular sutta. And nowadays, actually, we are talking on the KhaggaVisana Sutta, which is also called as rhinoceros horn. That is the English translation of KhaggaVisana. Now, this is available in Kuddika Nikaya, Sutta Nipata. Sutta Nipata, as you all know probably, that one of the very ancient texts and understood as very interesting and very profound suttas are there. And so KhaggaVisana Sutta is also a very interesting sutta, and it consists around 40 verses. And according to the commentator, Venerable Buddha Gosa, so this is attributed to Pacceka Buddhas, and all the verses are sort of exclamations by Pacceka Buddhas. So how they may be achieved that Pacceka Buddhahood, and once they become Pacceka Buddhahood or Pacceka Buddhas, so they are making kind of an udana or making kind of an exclamation, how they were able to get through. Now, we were discussing these verses one by one. Actually, last time we actually were able to touch 2 verses, and today also we have selected another one. It goes like this. Kittang rating kama sukhancha loke analang karitva anapekkamano vibhusanathana virato satchavadi eko chare KhaggaVisana kappu. Now, we need to understand that typical worldly nature is to satisfy sensual pleasures and seeking sensual pleasures as much as possible. It's a kind of based on pleasure principle. So one is trying to achieve many things, say material improvement, and trying to gather as much as wealth, and trying to have a promotion, trying to have enough wealth, and trying to have several cars. So likewise, so we have certain ambitions in our worldly life. So that is the typical nature of the human condition. So people are going after various sensual desires, various sensual pleasures. And again, even if they have something, they are not satisfied with that. So they want to have more. They want to have the best. So they are driven by such kind of nature. And so that is a typical nature. So we all are sort of started like that most probably. So we may have come through various things. We already gained something, but still not satisfied. And Buddha mentioned we are very much like slaves to that sort of craving, working or operating in our minds, and we are simply driven by that craving. Now, there may be certain turning points happen in our life where we start to look at something different. So constantly we were running after various sensual pleasures, trying to achieve various ambitions. And one time there may be kind of a turning point in our lives. So at that time we understood, okay, we are going in a wrong direction. Probably I might have to change a little. So there may be alternative paths to achieve some amount of different type of happiness. I am going to happiness which is derived through sensual pleasures, satisfying sensual desires. And sometimes I cannot achieve it, and there are various vulnerabilities going up and down. Therefore, it is difficult to guarantee such pleasure. So are there any other alternative paths? Are there any different types of pleasures? Are there any different types of happiness? So this is something that we sometimes start to think. And most of you have thought like that. That is why you are connecting today with this kind of a program. Because sensual pleasures are available, but still there are various alternative paths in order to have different sort of happiness. Instead of always going after various things, there are another alternative paths, how to silence ourselves, how to calm down, how to experience some sort of stillness of the mind. So these are, in a way, some eye-openings in our life. So this sutta, or rather this verse, is also indicating such kind of an incident. So there was one king, again in the Varanasi. So his name is called Vibhusaka. So Vibhusaka is a name that represents that he is continuously having various ornaments, and he is beautifying himself using various ornaments. And say he is using maybe the rings, maybe necklaces, various other jewelry, maybe his throne and various beautiful clothing, his sword. So likewise, so many different ornaments were there to him, and he spent fair amount of time enjoying those, and fair amount of time putting those into himself. Actually, these characters are not difficult to understand, or not difficult to recognize. Even nowadays, there are certain youths who are very fond of having various ornaments. Say probably they have the very expensive watch. They want to have branded, say, clothes. They want to have the best shoes. They want to have a bracelet. And they are keeping their, say, hairstyle very beautiful. And they are seeking various styles and watching various magazines and find out what is the latest style. And they are having a beard. So many, many things are there for them to have some sort of bodily beautification. So many ornaments are available. So if you go to a supermarket, so many things are there. And especially, again, available for women. So various different types of ornaments, different types of jewelry, different types of beauty culture. Many things are there. I mean, even with respect to the past, now people have so many things. And they are even obsessive, gone to the obsession level. So many things are there. So they spend a lot of time, and they are having fashion shows and this and that. So this is the nature. So in the good old days also, this particular king was somewhat obsessed with this kind of situation. So he is fond of various ornaments, and he is wearing those ornaments and spend fair amount of time with that. And one day, while he was wearing those, and he couldn't properly wear them, so as a result of that, he spent fair amount of time. Still, he couldn't wear them properly, and then he simply put something else, and he went to have his lunch, because otherwise he would even miss the lunch. So the next day also happened. Next day also he was wearing so many things, and he's going in front of the mirror and maybe asking from various his ministers or whoever close to him. And he is not satisfied, and ultimately he went to have lunch. It happened several times, and he recognized some sort of irritation is there in this proceeding. Because so far he was quite happy, he had enough wealth to buy different types of ornaments to beautify himself. But now he's getting a different perspective. So this is the kind of a turning point he is now having in his life. As I said, so all of us, maybe in our youth, in our, say, adolescence, so we have these kind of different attitudes as teenagers. Okay, we had different things. We want to attract another person. We want to say, show ourselves. We want to show that I am a smart person, I am a beautiful person, I am a handsome person. We like someone is looking at me. We like to get the attraction of another person. So this is how typically we behave. So we are obsessed with that kind of an attitude. So that is very typical. And but anyway, as we are growing up, as we are becoming mature, so that attitude or that desires might replace with something else. Say at our young age, as a teenager, we may have that kind of an attitude. And maybe as we are reaching 20s, and between 20s and 30s, okay, we have selected the partner, and with him or her, now we are sharing things. And suppose now you are getting married, and after that, okay, you have different things that you want to have a best car, you want to have a very good house, and now you want to have children, and now you are searching good schools for your children, and now you may be even migrating to have more and more luxuries, to have peace of mind. And after that, okay, now you are searching for a good house, a good car again, and again finding a new job, wanting to have a promotion, wanting to have a place in the society, and now you want to meditate. So likewise, now we all are going through this kind of a cycle. And someday actually we come to a kind of an understanding, kind of an eye-opening. Okay, I'm going in a different direction. It's never ending. I am constantly becoming frustrated. So are there any alternatives? Are there any ways to have peace of mind other than following these desires? So similarly, this Vibhusaka king also had that opportunity, that he was obsessed with that sort of ornaments, but now he understood, okay, I was somewhat obsessed with this kind of a desire, but now I can be with it, without it. Now I am just having basic ornaments. With that also I feel quite comfortable. So why not then leave aside all these ornaments? Why not stop adorning all these and to have a very simple life? Now he is thinking. And then later what he did was, he left the palace, he left the kingdom, and he became a monk, and he started to practice the Dhamma. And he became the Pacceka Buddha. Now you can understand now, he had the potential to become a Pacceka Buddha. But see how he was behaving in his typical previous worldly life. I mean, more than the others, he has the potential to become a Pacceka Buddha. That's why he left everything. But till the turning point happened in his life, so he was adorning himself, he was beautifying himself, obsessed with various ornaments. So that is the human nature. So therefore we can't in a way condemn another person, look down on another person, thinking that he's a crazy person, he's too much obsessed with all this beautification. But there may be situations in the future, he may open his eyes. He may look at different alternatives. So that might happen in the future. So therefore, we don't know when it is going to happen. Till that, we are living a worldly life, or we are sort of pursued after various things. So that is the nature. But fortunately, this king had that turning point, had that eye-opening, and therefore he went through, gone forth, and he became the Pacceka Buddha. Now he recites his change. Now he recites its understanding using this verse. So he's telling, Kiddhang rating kama sukhancha loke, analankaritva anapekkamano. Now Kiddhang rating. Kiddhang means various different types of plays, different games. You know, as kings, they have different, ways of enjoying themselves to satisfy themselves. Maybe they are courtesans, maybe various, music, many things are there. Now, even today, to the people who are quite rich, there are so many opportunities they are available to satisfy themselves, to have enough happiness through sensual gratification. So enough opportunities are there. So they are spending thousands, millions of money, dollars, and they are going after that. So that is their nature. Now this king is telling, or the Pacceka Buddha is telling, Kiddhang rating kama sukhancha loke. So having found no satisfaction in the world with play. Now previously he was able to have some satisfaction, but later, after indulging with it, now at one point he understood, okay, it is not going to satisfy me. Again and again, more and more desires are arising. So there is no end in this cycle, no end in this pursuit. So he is telling, no satisfaction is available. You can't fulfill. You can't come to a complete end of these desires by simply going after them and delight and sensual pleasures. So, we want to have some delight, we want to have sensual pleasures, we want to come to the best, and we think that better than our parents, we can do more. And even though our parents couldn't achieve it, I definitely going to achieve it. So this is how we are thinking. But now this Pacceka Buddha is telling, so I understood. So this is not possible. And therefore I understood that the satisfaction, complete satisfaction is not available. And so not taking any interest in them. Now he is not taking any interest in them. Previously he was fond of them, obsessed with them, delighted with them, but now he is not. Refraining from ornaments. Now he is not loving his ornaments. Suppose there's a youth who was really obsessed with all different types of ornaments, but maybe one day he's not fond of these ornaments. He may be giving it up. He may be giving it up to a friend. Actually, I can remember Ajahn Brahm was telling one of his sermons that he was also fond of various things as a layman, and he had a very good bike. And one day he decided, okay, I want to come to Thailand. I want to leave to Thailand while he was in UK. And he decided, okay, I want to give up all the things what I have. And he found one of the, article, and he sent kind of an advertisement, put an advertisement. Okay, this type of motorbike is available to give. So somebody has come and he want to buy it. And there the Ajahn Brahm's mother is also there. So he is not yet a monk. And now this person is interested of purchasing this vehicle, this motorbike. And now he is asking, okay, what is the price? Now this young person, Ajahn Brahm, is now telling you can take it. I am giving it free. This person was surprised because it's an expensive motorbike. But this fellow want to give it up. So such kind of turning points sometimes happen in our life. There are certain things we are fond of, we are so attracted to, but there may be situations that we understood no point of holding it. I am being bound to it. Now I better give it up. And at that time you are not trying to get rid of it. Rather the desire has gone. Now you can let it go. So likewise, the situations are available in our lives. Probably you also may have such experiences. So therefore, the ornaments this particular king was so fond of is not necessary right now. So he is giving them up. Refraining from ornaments, a speak of truth. And he is a speak of truth. So that's why he is actually revealing all these in a way, his weaknesses after he became a Pacceka Buddha. So it is nothing to hide. This is the human condition. So he accepts this human condition honestly, humbly, and he explained how he was fond of all these things, but he has given them up, understanding there is no point of having them. And after doing that, he is now living like a rhinoceros horn. So when it comes to some more details, sensual pleasures, as you know, different sensual pleasures are there. You can have pleasures using your eyes, different beautiful sights are there. And again, you can listen to various music, so you can satisfy the ears. Similarly, you can enjoy various fragrances, you can enjoy various tastes. Again, you can enjoy various tactile sensations, very good sensations. And if there are no such things, now even one may go to the other end, that you are start to enjoy thinking, mental proliferation. So that is also the other side. Typically, when it comes to sensual pleasures, we are talking only the first 5 forms, sounds, smells, tastes, and the tactile sensations. Now, these are the ones people are going after. And when it comes to ornaments, So that is also to some extent we discuss now, and different ornaments are available. Different jewelry shops are available, and ornaments are available for kids. Ornaments are available for women. Ornaments are available for youth, say men. So likewise, nowadays, so many things are there. And so many brands are there. And sometimes people want to have a branded vehicle. They want to have a branded shirt. They want to have a branded shoes. So these are sort of different ways of thinking that we have. And we don't know actually the advertisements and those advertising firms have conditioned our mind. How much they are able to control ourselves. So again and again they are showing those ornaments in the television, and we are looking at them again and again. But later, suppose to some reason that you are going to a jewelry shop or to this sort of ornaments, whatever it is, and there you are selecting a particular item because your mind being conditioned. So likewise, so these advertisements really know how to make use of this human nature, how to attract our mind towards a particular item. So they know how to exaggerate their items, they know how to enhance their qualities and to catch our, say, attention, so that we as poor victims become really conditioned in our thinking. So our mind start to think in that angle, start to think in that direction. So ultimately, where once we go to a supermarket, once we go to a fair, what we select is what we have been programmed, what we have been conditioned. But we don't know. So we went through it, even without our knowledge, our mind has went through or gone through such conditioning process. So those are the ones that we need to reveal in a way. So why this sort of habit is available in my mind? So once I go to a shop, why am I selecting a particular color? When I am going to a particular shop, why am I always looking at a particular pattern or particular style? What is the reason? So if there are two people going, say husband and wife going to a particular shop, how can a husband select one thing and wife select another thing? And if those are not matching each other, okay, now even a quarrel can happen. Because husband's maybe desires and wife's desires might not even tally. If they are telling, that is pretty good, but sometimes there are differences. Now they start to argue. This is the good thing, this is the bad thing, you don't know, I am the one, no. Now arguments are happening. Now these are, actually we are arguing, but we don't know how much our minds are conditioned. So it is not we really argue, but those advertisements that we have seen, those various, say, articles, various magazines, various advertisements that we have watched in our television. So those are the ones really arguing. It is not we really argue, but our mind being so conditioned, so we are now in a quarrel because that conditioned nature. So therefore, we don't understand how these things are really operating in our mind. To understand this conditioning process, somehow we have to have some sort of a humble, in a way, innocent attitude to understand how much likes and dislikes are available in our mind, how much preconceived ideas are available in our mind, how much habitual tendencies are available in our mind. So in order to properly understand that, we have to practice vipassana, we have to practice enough mindfulness. So once we have a fair amount of mindfulness, you can develop some amount of concentration. Using that concentration and mindfulness, now you have to practice vipassana. So when you are going through vipassana process, say you understand the impermanence, you understand the unsatisfactory nature, you understand the non-self nature, and there may be a kind of a insight to leave them aside, to have some amount of freedom in the mind, even though it is temporary. There you may experience some amount of unconditioned mind. So sights are not there, sounds are not there, smells are not there, tastes are not there, tactile sensations are not there, and even a thought is not there. So that is where you experience some amount of unconditioned nature of the mind. So that is in a way coming to the ground level. So suppose you are looking at artwork, so you are enjoying the artwork. Suppose it's a very beautiful, say, scenery. So there's a waterfall there, and beautifully the water is coming down, and many, say, were watching it, and some were photographing it, and some, say, birds are there. So many beautiful things are there. So you are enjoying that. So you are so fascinated with that artwork. But later, suppose you get a kind of a glimpse, you get a kind of an insight. Okay, this is an artwork. This is not really a waterfall. These are all colors. These are different watercolors, or these are different representations. They are not the real waterfall. These are not the real birds. These are not the real people. They are simply, say, paint. So you get this kind of an understanding. So at that time, you can't actually enjoy the artwork, because you know it is not really a waterfall. You know it really, this is not a bird. So at that time, say you are in a way penetrating the artwork. Now, suppose you are able to erase this artwork, then you can see the canvas. So this canvas is nothing but kind of an emptiness, kind of a blank state, blank paper or blank cloth, canvas. So at that time, okay, the mind is unconditioned. So the canvas is so much conditioned because of this artwork. So somehow if we are able to erase this complete artwork, then we come to the very bottom, or the very, say, intrinsic nature of the situation. So that is the blank canvas. So similarly in our mind, so if we are able to at least temporarily remove that artwork, so through the eyes, we are having some sort of an artwork onto the canvas. Through our ears, we are having some kind of a music, again mixed as an artwork to the mind. So likewise, using various sense organs, we are putting different data, inputs, and those inputs, those artworks actually hinder the beauty of the mind. The beauty of the mind is in a way kind of a pure stillness, but we couldn't touch it. We couldn't really experience it because it is being covered by sounds, by sights, by smells, or various sensations, etc., and various ideas. So that those are the covering, those are the hindrances in a way. So once we are able to at least temporarily remove this outer sheath, temporarily we remove these coverings, at that time probably we are able to recognize that luminosity available in the mind. So therefore Buddha mentioned, Papassara midam bhikkave chittam tanchako agantukehi upakkilesehi upakkilittam. Monks, this mind is luminous. This mind is pure. That purity, that stillness, that luminosity is not available because of the coverings, because of the outer sheath, which is happening because of these intruding defilements. So if we believe that, if we have faith in the Buddha, if we have faith in the Dhamma, if we have faith in the Kalyana Mittas or the Sangha, probably we start to explore towards that direction. So we understand, okay, there are enough outer sheath is available. You can say outer sheath or outer sheet, that's both are all right. So once you are removing that sheath, then you are able to slowly recognize that inner quietude. You are able to recognize that inner stillness, inner purity. So that is the purity that we as human beings, we all have. It is not limited to one person. So today a person is simply going after various ornaments and all different styles and purification. Maybe after 1 month, he have a complete change in his life, as the king has done in this particular verse. So therefore, because everybody has that potential, everybody has that beauty in their mind. So one day there could be such a change in their life, so that they are able to explore that inherent beauty, so that they are able to recognize that inherent qualities, inherent purity available in themselves. So Buddha's teaching actually help us to come to that level, to reach that level, to understand that inner silence, to understand this inner purity we all have. So that is in a way the beauty of the Buddha's teaching. So with that, I like to conclude today's Dhamma sermon. Now I like to open the session for questions.
Sorry, Bhante. Currently there are 9 questions. Question number 1 is a general question. Dear Bhante, can you please explain how we differentiate Anusaya, the hidden latencies, and Ashraya, the influxes in practical scenarios? For example, I tend to consider myself as a good practitioner, followed this program for more than a year, and who developed a regular mindfulness practice. Therefore, you can assume that I have some amount of mindfulness in this scenario. In the office, when someone praises my work or my abilities, I get elated and overjoyed. When my superiors mention my name in front of others, commending my name, I get goosebumps and electric shocks. I tend to be in a euphoria or sedated situation during this fraction of time. I'm even surprised how much I get shaken by these positive praises and how much I like it. After a few minutes, I realize how childish I was, but the moment has gone, and next time I get elated in a similar manner as well. Is this Ashraya or Anusaya? This is not something I think of all the time, planning and expecting in general. I want an unshaken mind and equipoised mind as a true practitioner, thus cannot be Ashraya. So can this be Anusaya or hidden tendency popping up? What can I do about these goosebump electric shock moments? With metta, that's the end of the question.
Actually, thank you very much for revealing this information. Actually, it is not only unique to you, it is a very common thing. I mean, even myself, say, when someone is talking about my name, say there is a crowd and so someone is praising me, calling my name. Okay, there's a kind of an elation, kind of an elated nature happens in the mind. So we like the praise, we like the gain, and we like the happiness. So this is the typical nature we all have. It is common. It is not unique to you. It is common to me. So I can also understand. Okay, when someone is praising me, how elated. So this the I is going to happen. So the point is, actually, rather than avoiding this, we need to recognize that I making happens in the mind. So when someone is praising, how there is a I-ness, how there is an ego, how there is a kind of an individuality is growing in ourselves. So if we are able to recognize that, so at that time we don't need to promote it. I mean, even before that, we can come to a level that we at least can avoid being conceited, avoid being proud. Now suppose there is a group of people, and suppose someone is praising one person. So if that person become really proud and conceited, so he start to talk loud about himself and look down the other people, and that is the typical nature going to happen. So he is now becoming pretty proud and quite conceited, and he don't care about the others, and he neglect all the other advisors. If someone is coming to talk, he is showing, as a big person, as a, say, important person, VIP. So different things are there. So now he actually is assumed. He is now very much like proud. It's difficult to catch him or difficult to approach him because he's so conceited. So this is what happens typically. So someone is praising, someone is always coming to us asking help, and so that we become more and more conceited. Suppose you are a doctor, for example, and many people are coming and asking help from you, and you are giving, say, proper medicine, and there's a reputation developing. Now you become a very reputed doctor. And now you are the person who is always advising, you are the person who is sought after. And now you even can become a very conceited person. So that is how some sort of a conceit developing in ourselves, building in ourselves. Now, once such conceit is developed in ourselves, it is very difficult to remove. So the point here is, as a Vipassana practitioner, as a mindfulness practitioner, so when the I-ness is developed in ourselves, when the ego is developed in ourselves, when I-making is happening in ourselves, we need to recognize it and not to promote it, but to let go of it. We have to, in a way, disclaim it. So Buddha used the terms I-making and mind-making. Ahankara, mamankara. And the other term is mana-anusaya. This mana anusaya, the conceit, as a latent tendency. So we want to highlight ourselves, and I want to compare with another person, and with that person I am a better person, or with that person I am not a better person, I am not a good person, I am a bad person. So likewise we do this comparison. So these are in a way very subtle defilements we all have, and important thing is not to being a victim of this process. At the beginning, probably we can't immediately avoid this, but at least we can stop being a victim out of it. Say you get some sort of praise, but now don't try to be elated and have proud, conceited, and look down another person. So that is something that we can avoid. Experiencing some sort of a happiness is quite ordinary, quite acceptable, but adding conceit to it, adding proudness to it is something that we can avoid. So that is detrimental to ourselves and harmful to other people as well. And later, slowly, as we are further developing, so as you correctly pointed out, so all these praises, all these gains, all these happy, pleasurable things, we may going through, but not attach with them, not holding them, not claiming them as me, mine, myself. And this is a difficult practice in a way. I mean, it's not easy to, it is easy to stay than doing it. So we have to constantly on guard on ourselves and how the mind is operating. And accordingly, we have to protect the mind. We have to avoid making a self out of any of these situations. And so asava and anusaya are fairly interconnected, and they have very good relationships, it seems. And typically Buddha used the term anusaya here, mana anusaya. So there's a tendency in ourselves that we are always comparing ourselves with the others. We want to show up. We want to show that I am the best person. I am the right person. I am the important person. So likewise, we have that conceit. So because we do the comparison. Now, if we are able to completely avoid this comparison, then there is no conceit. So it's a subtle defilement, and we have to do it for a long time and do it carefully, and then we may be able to eliminate it. And Buddha mentioned that the completely conceit is eliminated only when one becomes an arahant. So you can understand how difficult it is in a way. It is true that we understand now there's a kind of a conceit or that kind of I-making happens, but to completely remove it, uproot that defilement, it takes fairly a long time. Yeah.
Question number 2 of 9. Mindful sitting. Dear Swamin Wansa, appreciate if you can advise how I can move forward with my sitting practice. At the moment, I am at a stage where the practice naturally leads to the elemental characteristics after the breath settles down. I can hardly feel the breath after 5 to 10 minutes into the practice, and my focus goes to the sitting posture and various elemental characteristics. I feel the hard and soft areas of the body and hot and cold patches. The places of these sensations are not that clear. They seem to be all tangled and interwound into a mix. With these elemental characteristics, I feel sometimes happy and comfort feelings as well as painful posture feelings. Sometimes the breath appears and disappears as well. Seems like breathing meditation, posture and body feelings, elemental characteristics, comfort and discomfort feelings, all are happening at once. And thoughts come and go as well. I don't know if I should continue with this mix or be clear and specific on what I should be focusing on. I appreciate Swami Wans's advice. That's the end of the question.
Yeah, I think you are doing well, but as you said, it is difficult to differentiate, and this is one stage that we come across. So different things are there. Actually, we started with the selected series of objects, maybe breath or maybe rising and falling or various element characteristics. So as we continue the practice, then there is a situation. So different element characteristics are there, and again, some thoughts are also there. Various sounds and all the other external things are also there. But I mean, mind is not that interested of any of those. So everything is there. It is not that everything has stopped. Things are there, but mind is not engaged with anything else. So this is something that we are going through. So it's a matter of continuing this. So just continue, because now in a way you have come to a kind of middle of a house where, say, 6 doors are available and many people are coming and knocking the doors, but you are not interested in answering to those external people, external triggers, and you want to mind your own business. Your mind want to mind your own business. Yeah.
Question number 3 of 9. This is a general question. Dear Bhante, can you please explain how we should be observing arising and disappearing of feelings? During the practice, whenever I get calm, a relaxed, comfortable feeling, I tend to enjoy it. And if there is a painful feeling, I observe the urge to move away from it. I can observe these thanks to your valuable guidance. However, I'm stuck at the stage where I'm unable to move away and then create the distance enough to observe the beginning and end of these feelings. I feel like even if I can observe them, I am in the midst of them. How should I create enough gap between the fleeting feelings and the observation to see the end? Should I verbalize them as just feelings once I detect them? Thank you for your valuable guidance. That's the end of the question.
I think it may naturally grow and you don't need to verbalize because now we are able to quietly observe them with a very silent mind. So that indicates fair amount of improvement. And at that time, if you are introducing labeling or noting, so that is not necessary. So continue as a silent observer, and it may take time. So don't worry, don't in a rush, don't go to a rush. Simply continue the practice, and actually you may come across some sort of a boredom. Now different feelings are there. Now you are trying to experience or observe them carefully. At the beginning, it is so interesting, and different, say, pleasurable feelings, they come and go. You are interested of it. There are painful feelings, you are observing them. They come and go, and you are interested of that practice. And there are neutral feelings, you are observing them, and they come and go, and you are able to understand it. Good. But as you are continuing, now slowly you come across some sort of a boredom. It is natural. Because everything is losing their, individual characteristics. They are distinct characteristics, and your mind is sort of closing or getting closer to some sort of a dispassionate attitude. So the result is you feel some amount of boredom. So, I mean, you don't need to change anything. So patiently, just continue your practice.
Question number 4 of 9. General question. Dear Bhante, do you plan to visit Australia and conduct face-to-face retreats next year? It will be a great opportunity if Bhante can kindly consider our invitation. That's the end.
I don't know. Let's see. I don't know. I mean, it depends on the situation, how COVID may, reduce in Australia, in Sri Lanka, and we'll see how things happen. Actually, I was planned to come not 2020, I think. So Ranga and all, actually, they even purchased tickets. but everything has to be cancelled. So I don't want to get on to another, say, cancellation. So we need to be sure that the country is now stable and they are opening the borders and say foreigners are allowed and the situation has somewhat relaxed. And so once it is confirmed, maybe we can think of, but no need to rush into these kind of things.
Question number 5 of 9, mindful sitting. Dear Venerable Bhante, as I started, I could hear almost nothing. I focused on my breath and was able to notice my outtakes of my breathing. I could imagine short strands of breath curling upwards and downwards. Then it got longer and my breathing felt like water rushing down a waterfall. The distant sounds of birds chirping and other minor sounds faded and it felt like a different world. Then my chest and stomach started tightening slightly and it did feel a bit uncomfortable. What I felt and imagined was being in the center of flames. Then at once the slamming of a car door brought me back to my senses. I was suddenly woken to all the other sounds and my eyes opened. I tried to go back and meditate, but it was difficult. I later onwards felt a searing pain in the right of my collarbone. I tried focusing on it and the pain slowly faded away. That was the end of my meditation. That's the end of the question.
So it seems like you are able to hear various sounds and to understand their nature. And that is also a good experience because, it is good that if you are able to further improve your concentration and pay close attention to various sensations available in your body. So that is one approach. But it seems like you are able to understand or recognize different say, sounds and how they start to come and go. If you can spend some time, no harm. So once you feel enough, slowly you can bring your attention back to the body. Now the thing is, as far as I can see, so you spend fair amount of time doing that. So now the body's support has lost because your mind is in a way, somewhat in a expanded way, so that you don't have enough concentration to move and establish mindfulness and concentration to the body or other practice, because fair amount of time is spent on listening, and you have reached the end of the body's say endurance, that kind of a session. Therefore you couldn't build it up. So therefore next time probably you don't need to spend long time in hearing. Rather you can try to start your typical session with short time. Yeah.
Question number, I think it's 6. General question. Dear Venerable Bhante, the Lord Buddha once held a handful of sand from an area and said that only this amount shall go to heaven, the others shall perish in hell. Bhante, is this actually true? Do even people who live normal lives but occasionally kill a fly or mosquito, and do those who go through feelings of cunningness, anger, hatred, jealousy, and criticizing people go to hell? That's the end of the question. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, it's difficult to give a yes or no answer here. Many reasons are there, and one point to highlight is that you need to practice morality as well as wisdom. So, morality is one thing that you have highlighted. There are people who are killing mosquitoes or animals or stealing and all these things. So that has to be minimized, that has to be avoided, so that you are become a moral person, a virtuous person. And that itself is not enough. So that's the point that we need to understand. So as Buddhists, sometimes we stop at that morality, at that becoming a virtuous person. That itself is not enough. There is something more to do. There is something more to develop. So that doesn't happen automatically. So for that you need to put some amount of effort, some amount of strength so that you are able to develop those qualities in yourself. So you may understand how difficult it is to develop some amount of mindfulness, how difficult it is to develop some amount of concentration. So it requires fair amount of dedication, it requires fair amount of practice, involvement. Then only, you can say, now a significant amount of mindfulness being developed, a significant amount of concentration being developed. And then you have to get on to the Vipassana practice and to further develop wisdom. So likewise, there is something to do. So therefore, these are other things also affecting going to the heaven or the hell or whatever it is. So if one is having some amount of understanding of the Dhamma, say some amount of Vipassana, so if you have some amount of understanding about the causality, that is what sometimes called as the Paccaya Pariggahha, the understanding or the insight of the causality, Paticcasamuppada, then Buddha, actually the commentary, it is mentioned that you are assured that you are not going to the hell realm. And so that is the Paccaya Pariggahha. It is sometimes called as Chulla Sotapanna. But the assurance is given only to a Sotapanna, where one becomes a stream winner. So then it is assured that one is not getting to the hell realm. So try to achieve that.
Question number 7 of 9. General question. Dear Bhante, I have recently started learning the different names and sounds of the local birds. Whenever I study or do my work, I'm able to become more aware of these sounds and much more than before I did learn them. Before, it was almost as if they didn't exist. Should I stop being aware of the sounds and ignore them, Bhante, or should I continue noticing and understanding them? That's the end of the question.
Later as you develop, you don't need to put the labels, just listen. So different sounds are there, you don't need to put a label and see what happened to the sound. So sound has a very quick beginning and very quick ending. So unlike the other sights and other sensations or feelings, so sometimes we couldn't immediately understand their fragile nature. But sounds, on the other hand, quickly come and go. So you can understand that quick impermanent nature of various sounds. So you don't need to have labels to understand that. So if you are putting labels, then actually your mind being distracted to something different, some conventional things. At the beginning, you may be interested of that, but later you can drop those conventional labels, names, etc. You can simply understand, this is a sound, it simply happened, now it has gone. Another sound, it happened, it has gone. Another sound, it happened, it has gone. So there we are some sort of generalizing the thing and understanding their common characteristics. Yeah.
Question number 8 of 9. General question. Dear Bhante, is meditation the only way to achieve nirvana? That's the end of the question.
Difficult question to answer. Actually, it depends on how much merit we have, how much potential we have, how much paramis we have, how much wisdom we have. So if you think you are a person of the caliber with Venerable Mahasariputta, who had the caliber, who had the skill, wisdom, just to listen to Dhamma, and with that, he was able to become a Sotapanna. And after that, he practiced diligently, and it is mentioned after 2 weeks, he was listening again a very profound Dhamma by the Buddha, and then he was able to become an Arahant. But the point is, now we can't attribute that sort of very strong wisdom to ourselves. So, there may be, very rare situations, but that is where we need different types of practices in order to understand. Now, there are 5 different types of openings or freedoms are mentioned that you, while listening to Dhamma, your mind can become free. While teaching Dhamma, your mind, or preaching Dhamma, your mind can become free. While reciting Dhamma, your mind can become free. While discussing Dhamma, your mind can become free. While meditating, your mind can become free. So all these things are in a way useful. So therefore, but nowadays, meditation is becoming a must because our minds are so crowded. I mean, as the generations to this, say, information technology era, so our mind has become so crowded, so, so congested and so corrupted. So with such mind, it is very unlikely that you come through or you penetrate some understanding of the Dhamma. So in order to have some clarity of the mind, meditation has become one of the very important, essential practice that we have to adhere.
Question number 9, and this is the last one. General question. Dear Bhante, I had to check with you on a certain recent experience. After a long break, I restarted attending a yoga class again recently. In it, there are certain instances that the instructor asks us to focus on our body posture. Every time I try to do that and focus on my body, my mind automatically goes into a samadhi-like status and cannot then do any of the postures the teacher is asking. I had to forcefully break out of that state of mind to continue the lesson. It is like I think it says, due to my practice, my mind is always transiting into that meditative state in a normal life, if invoked. Is this normal to happen? With metta, that's the end of the question.
Yeah, actually, you better, if it is happen in a proper balanced manner, so, if it is necessary, you should be able to bring your attention to the body. But when you are closely paying attention to the body, if the mind is going to a samadhi, it seems like kind of an excessive samadhi is there. Some amount of true samadhi is there. So, try not to involve with too much sitting session. So you can minimize or reduce the sitting meditation, but you can enjoy walking meditation, because walking is more into the mindfulness and wisdom more than the concentration. But on the other hand, the sitting is more prone to higher concentrations. So high concentration is not a must in a way. No, the thing is, so especially when you are developing mindfulness and wisdom, so only the clarity of mind is needed, not higher concentrations. So therefore, at this level, if you feel that when you are paying attention to different postures, if your mind is getting too much concentrated, so that indicates that your concentration is too much. So therefore, reduce your sitting sessions and try to do more onto the walking, and then you can probably balance your concentration and have more mindfulness than concentration.
That ends the questions for today, Bhante. I just don't think there's any more. That's it. So I'd just like to finish up firstly by thanking Bhante for giving up valuable insights with all these questions that we've had, and also to pass on any merits accrued to Bhante. Secondly, to all the participants, either seen or unseen, helping or participating in the program. And lastly, to everyone on the call, because without you, there would be no program. Thero Sarana.
Yeah, Thero Sarana.